Hello, hello, hello. Alright, so we turn down the volume. I suspect I will have to change my battery in the middle of the stream. I do try to let my batteries go ahead and cycle all the way through. Apologize for the sideways appearing picture. I was putting some more detail on Alice. Right, we'll slide up a little bit, back on the disc. Alright, so water cup back over there for now. So I was adding some details to the bottle. Really realized that I hadn't amped up the contrast enough to really make that bottle convincing. I've looked up a couple references, got an idea as far as these thicker sections of the glass would be darker in general. I probably still need to do a bit more here and there on the bottle. Probably pop in some really bright highlights, but I probably need to do another wash here to just bring down the value a little bit, so make it a little bit darker. That way those highlights really pop. But it is looking good, it's getting better. I shaded Alice's legs so they have a little bit more dimensions to them. I also added some shading for her hair, and I added a very light wash for skin tone. I left her neck alone because I think I'm going to give her a collar. Or, not a collar, a choker. I've literally worn collars. I used to have this really cute little jeweled cat collar, which fitting for my nickname. But anyways. Yeah, so just general start there. I think, do I have all the detail done? I think Alice is in a pretty good spot right now. So, also, amped up some detail on the header. I don't know why. I feel like the frame's a little dark. I'm gonna bump up the ISO a little bit more and see if we're good. Alright. Yeah, now you can pick up those details. So I went back to the header and I added some pinstripes, an implied pattern of paisley. I didn't go all the way to the top because the value at the top is pretty dark. Didn't figure it would pick up very well. I should add some to the sleeve though. And what else? I darkened some of the shadows on the teacups. Currently waiting for this to dry a little bit because I want to bring down the cobalt teal blue into the shadow to make sure that it's acting like a reflected shadow would. And let's see. I think that's it. I think you already saw the updates on the Queen. Zoom out. Come over here to the Queen. I could have pushed the shadows a bit darker there, but I went and add a quick wash to her skin. And we're keeping it with the abnormal skin tone for her. Been using really, really pale washes of Purulene Violet. Another great color for this, if you want to go with like this really unusual pale tone with the slight purple implied color, would be Naphthalene Maroon. The two of them are so similar. You really only need one. But I guess sometimes I have issues with needing to have the whole set. So let's see, about a year ago I got Purulene Maroon, Purulene Violet, and Purulene Green all in an order. Apparently I needed all of the Purulenes. But I'll go ahead and pull over my old color chart. This is one of my other palettes, which I love this palette. I still need to replace the Anthraquinoid Red on it as well. And let's see, Nephamide Maroon right here. I have this wonderful, deep, grapey color. And look at that intensity that you get with the Carbazole Violet. That is one of my favorite mixes. Let's see. Go ahead and show you the Purline Violet right next to it. And you'll get a really good good visual on like how similar these two are. I do like them both. So I'm going to mute for a second while I blow on this test swatch to dry it. Don't want to do that right in your ear. And right next to it, I'm also going to pop in the Purely Maroon, which, if you paint flowers or a lot of things that are red, or it's just your favorite color, this is such an amazing shadow color. So let's mute that for a second. And the reason I want to show you these when they're dried down a bit is because these particular colors do lose probably like 20% or so of their saturation once they're dry. So it gives you a much more realistic idea of what these colors look like. So here you have the Nephamide Maroon, and then you have the Purline Violet right next to it, and they are so similar that I would never put the two of them on a palette together, just because it's really overkill. Pull out just the edge of this in a wash. See a little bit more of the undertone, like you do in my my swatches. And then I'll do the same over here with the Purely Maroon. Me and my red shades, man. This is really similar to Daniel Smith's Primatech Garnet Genuine. Garnet Genuine's a little bit more brown tone though, just a touch. But these are phenomenal shadow colors. And then this up here is the mix that we did when we were working on the Mad Hatter's pants. That was Carbazole Violet, or Dioxazine Violet in a lot of other brands, or Winsor Violet if you're a Winsor & Newton fan, and the Purline Violet. So that's if we go more purple with it, which you can see that over here. Nephamide Maroon, practically the same color, Nephamide Maroon and Carbazole Violet. So I think that's enough about paint for the moment. Alright, and today's prompt is key, and I don't know what it is about this prompt that I'm just like, huh. Because I really have mixed feelings about including a key, like that is a large sized key in this composition. It's like, I want to make sure that everything is like a useful size for stickers. Alright, we'll turn that a little bit. Get everything all straightened out. Alright. I'm already being blipped at on my camera for low battery. But that's okay, I have the spare right here on the desk, so it's like ready to go. So today we're going to be doing some sketching on camera because I was stuck when it came to this prompt. I got up here, I normally start working about an hour before I actually go ahead and stream, and just for the life of me, just... I feel awkward about including this key because my original thought for the composition was to go ahead and put the key in here, which right now my ISO is so high that's just obliterated as far as overexposed. Alright, there you go. So my original thought was just to include it in here where we have the glass table from the hallway and where Alice had left the key. So I'm going to keep on thinking on that for a moment while I encourage you to comment. And I'll hop over here onto Twitch to see if we have anybody live. Alright, so it looks like... Ooh, there's 2 of us today. Hello, viewer. Thank you so much for joining. If you have any opinions as far as where I should put this key, should I go ahead and put it where the keyhole is, or should I don't know, do you have an idea? I'm happy to hear your thoughts as far as compositionally. Any ideas? Like putting people on the spot. Alright. So if you're new, I'll go ahead and give you a slight tour around Wonderland. We have up here a beachy area. This is where our dodo's going. We have the tree and the rabbit hole. And this is the rabbit hole that she was tumbling through. We have a clock and a book there. Those are both prompts for later this month. I did the keyhole, going a little bit more abstract, and not including a door or doorknob. So we have the keyhole that goes to the initial hallway that she was in before she finds the little door. And we have Alice in the potion bottle. I will be adding a label that says drink me. So that's still waiting for a moment because I still need to figure out where the Tweedles are going. So the Tweedles, I've debated moving them to right here, or maybe having them as part of the tea party because I have a good bit of space still around the tea party itself. The caterpillars up here, we're going from a mushroom forest with like enoki style mushrooms, and that's going to fade into like birch trees, into a more deciduous forest. And we have this nice gnarly tree, which will be kind of a visual anchor point before you get to this more sparse area where the Jabberwock is going, up in his tower. I haven't added the lines yet for the checkerboard, so those will be coming. We have part of a hedge maze, an execution area. We have a crazy Wonderland sign. We have the Queen screaming off with their heads. So that's where the Knave of Hearts and one of the Card Guard are going. I'll have one of the Frog Footmen down here by the Queen. And I still need to do faces for my Mad Hatter and Alice. We're getting there. Trying to remember what else is in the prompts. So let me grab my book. I have a vague map of the prompts, which I started just to give me a rough idea as far as where this composition might go, but it is by no means final. And my book is trying to hide from me in my bag here. Bag of art stuff for when I'm out of the house. I think everybody needs a bag of art stuff for out of the house. Alright, so let's see. Oh, that's right. I forgot also, after the hedge, we'll have some of the croquet court, so the queen will be probably at the edge of that. So I can fit the flamingo over here. And roses. So we'll have a nice scattering of roses. I think they're really handy to have in like a sticker set. So I'm going to plan on like a pretty significant border down here at the bottom. And probably dotting a few along the hedgerow since I don't have that painted in yet. I'll probably make a couple of them stickers depending on scale. We'll see how that works. This is kind of a gray area over here because of how I had moved the middle of the composition. So originally I had a lot going on in the tea party and that was going to be here in the middle, but it felt like there was too much going on. So I slid it down here off to the side, which gives me less space for the potion and the key, which I fit in the potion a different way. I thought it was an interesting take, having the water from Wonderland becoming the potion. This will get a bit darker later as I add some more shadow. So, initial washes. And it's good to see some color getting splashed around. What else? I also have talking flowers. That's pretty late towards the end of this as well. Those guys will probably fit right up here. Maybe next to or in front of or behind the Tweedles. Still trying to squish them in. Just figuring mentally what do I want to have where. So a lot of the top is kind of not so sticker heavy as the bottom half is, but I also wanted to make sure that there's nice scenery, because that's the other thing, is like ultimately this is a print that needs to be cohesive together. So I want it to be both a print as well as a sticker sheet. That's just my thought behind the series. Whether stickers happen, I need to learn that. So it'll be a little bit of a learning curve after my learning curve with video. So, still here, checking out Twitch while I'm yammering on. Alright, and no comment about this key, so we're going to just pop that in. Oops, if I get my pencil. Do you think it would be crazy to just pop in a random oversized key? Let's get some of these fuzzies off of here, and I have one sticking in my masking tape. Yeah, I'm kind of realizing I have a lot of dead space in the front.
I almost died from that.
Now I'm kind of thinking, like, you know. No, I don't like that. I was thinking maybe I'd put the key as the signpost. But it's an idea to shoehorn it into the composition, but I don't love it. So sometimes that's just me, just overthinking things to death. We have a few oversized elements. And hopefully we're not too glitchy here. I keep seeing notifications about dropped frames. So we're gonna hope for the best. And I'm gonna jump back over to my usual control panel so I can check out my audio. Make sure my audio levels are decent, because in previous streams I have forgotten to turn down my background music to a volume that I talk over. I feel like compositionally we're still really heavy on this side. I think maybe having it going diagonally over here. I don't know why I'm so stuck on such a simple thing. This is probably the most anticlimactic stream that I've had so far. Yes. Yeah, like I said, I came up here hour ahead of time, didn't have any ideas, started puttering around with adding details, and, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, and still nothing coming to me. Yep, I don't know what it is. You know what, instead of standing here doing nothing, well, not standing here, sitting here doing nothing, I putter around with some other details. At least you can see something. And see, sometimes inspiration does not strike. At least not when you want it to. I was hoping working on details would snap me out of it, get me back into this world, and continue on. But today just does not seem to be that day. I'll pop in some details here and there. Just a touch quieter with that. Okay, this is fairly weak. Oh, I might need to glaze this again. But just adding a little bit of dimension on the rough. The subtle things that most people probably won't even see. Alright, so let's zoom in. Wow, I've already spent almost 25 minutes just talking about nothing today. With this key. Jeez. Well, I think it's nice to get a new tour on the lay of the land every so often. So hopefully that was interesting. a fairly light glaze with the cobalt teal blue, which is further down here and a little bit out of frame. So just adding that in this total, in the entirety of the shadow down here. We can deepen that a bit. And create a light bouncing off of the object into the other teacup. And we'll go real light with a little bit more neutral tint. So go ahead and give the teacup handle just a touch of shadow. I debated adding some gold on the edge of it, but I might still. I think that would allow it to pop a little bit better visually. And we'll go in with a touch of Hansa Yellow Medium. It's currently my main bright yellow on the palette. It's a little bit more opaque than I like for this color. I think I might switch over to an azo yellow later. But for the moment, this is what I have, and it being a little bit opaque is a good thing because I'm currently dotting in the centers of these flowers. So that should stand out still when it dries. Which is probably a good thing, having a strong yellow. I do have the quinacridone gold, which is a lot more transparent, so that works for me most of the time. Are there any areas of Wonderland that you're most excited to see painted? Let's check out my notes for the prompts. And the potion and the key were originally meant to go together, but that was when I was going to do those inside of the keyhole. Let's block in a random key. Maybe I'll point you into the composition a little bit more. I think what's going on with this particular prompt is I had 3 pretty major characters blam 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 like day after day, and I probably would have had more time in between them if I chose to intentionally skip the order of the prompts. But that was not what I was trying to do. We'll go with a kind of a decorative key. I really like seeing old keys. And something sometime when we have our own place all figured out, and just set up like a wind chime of just random old keys that look neat. Let's see. It'll just be a round cap at the bottom. I keep brushing against my pen, so let's move that. I'm going to see how far we still get on this one battery. I'm just waiting to hear the sound of the that clicking out. There we go. I touched the paper. No! I really try not to. Don't know why I'm spending all this time on these lines. Don't think I need them. Wait, with a very simple key. But you know what? Oop. Alright, and we're back. Alright, so I just had an idea while I was doing the key. I'm going to put a heart right in here. And we add our little edge, some dimension. Great, and then I'm just kind of do a fancy heart. Maybe it's cheesy. Wish I had thought of this earlier. Then we'd have more time to sit here and develop all kinds of cool swirls and curly cues. I think we'll go a little bit plain. I mean, for something very ostentatious. Oh, nice. Go ahead and tap my table, and suddenly the light decides it wants to be brighter. Getting used to the to this light is weird because the motion sensor is so far back, it's in the corner of my desk. So, fun new thing to have to be careful of. Right, so I'm grabbing a good bit of the eraser. Well, I'm grabbing a bit of the lead. Well, technically graphite. I don't know why we still call it pencil lead, and there hasn't been lead in pencils in I don't know how long. Probably 100 years. Alright. So we have a key. And any of these lines that I didn't pick up enough, I'm probably just going to outline with like sepia or maybe a darker brown or something. I don't know. But we're gonna go for like a really glossy, shiny gold. And we want to do a few layers. We want some transparency here. And it's a little bit smudgy looking, but that's fine. We're not doing any other washes there, and I'll be able to erase it cleanly after, before we get into background washes. Yeah, the background for Wonderland, technically Wonderland Landscapes, was the first prompt, which was live. I didn't have my video settings right, so we don't have a video for that. And I also figured the main point of this for me is that I'm doing this on like streaming. It's basically keep me accountable, make sure that I actually go through all these prompts. But also, you know, I'm still a student, still a parent, so I'm kind of limited on how much time I use to go ahead and get stuff done. Which is, I don't know, I'm rambling so much during the stream. We'll go into this quinacridone red while I'm still rambling. It's not. That's not the color I want. We're not going into quinacridone red, or at least we're not putting that on the paper. I'm gonna go a little bit warmer. The quinacridone red's a nice mid-tone, which it's probably fine. And this light is making me nuts. Okay, so it lets me turn it down. Doesn't let me turn it back up. I'm sorry. I'm going to try not to complain about my light being insane. And you know what? I am going to do the quinacridone red. We're just gonna see where that gets us. So, I'm picking this for our shadows because I want to go really glossy with that red. When you go ahead and lay down a base of red, it creates really interesting deep shadows for items that are gold. And we're gonna pick that up. I don't want that dark. So basically our shadow color, a little darker right there. This is kind of behind the bottle anyway, and our shadows are going to be a little strange compared to the rest of the light that's coming through on the scene. Go heavy with those. I probably should have moved that away from the bottle a little bit. I'm gonna leave the center alone. I think I'm going to make that a jewel. And to do that, I will pull up a reference to go ahead and help me out with some of the highlights and shadows. The nice thing about this is I am going very much with a loose style, not aiming for realism. Or not aiming for complete realism. I'm not too stressed. Really, it's not generally too stressed. I stress a lot. I'm still new to the streaming thing. Now I'm 8 days in, so I'm doing good about keeping the routine. Take a moment to celebrate all that small stuff. Yay! And over here a bit. And down here a bit. Real subtle line over here. So that's a good start as far as where our red is. Alright, and while we're waiting for that to dry just a touch before we can add some gold, I'm going back over to our teacups here. I'm just extending the phthalo blue turquoise or phthalo turquoise blue shadow down into the teacup, and so bring that wash up to kind of make sure that you get a fairly smooth wash. And I tap back in the shadow on the teacup handle. And now this should be dry pretty much. We'll add that Quinn Gold. You know what? That area is pretty well shadowed, since that's towards us and the light would be behind it. I'm gonna go a little darker. We'll go with the raw sienna back here. Just along the edge. That stands out a lot better now. Alright. It helps if I'm more specific, so alright. Off to the side here, I pulled up a quick little faceted ruby. Just a general idea as far as where I can blaze in some shadows and highlights. Which I'm gonna see if I can pull off a little bit more of that graphite. I know madness, you say. And I don't see eraser bits. I grabbed a little bit of quinacridone rouge. This one's the M-gram version. I actually prefer its color over the Daniel Smith version. It's a little bit warmer. And the reason I did that split, a lot of people do prefer the cooler version. The reason I went with that split is because I do have quinacridone lilac as well as quinacridone violet on my palette currently. I haven't had any thought to go ahead and remove them. At least not yet. No plans to remove them. And to get these highlights to be really crisp, in this case, I'm going to go back into this with the bleed proof white. Like, that is just the plan from the start on this one. I'm not trying to to reserve those highlights. I went with a fairly watery wash, and I'm just blotting off a bit of the excess. Great, so now we're going to add a little bit of our quinacridone gold to this key. And I'm going to be very careful to leave some highlight on the key. The key is a much larger part of this composition than that itty bitty jewel. So I'm going to try to actually preserve some of these highlights that way.
Wait, I know that.
You know what? I'm gonna turn my palette around real quick, just so the yellow is closer to me. Okay, we'll do this top edge. Basically, I'm going over the edges of the key, and I'm also going over the shadows that we have in red. And this helps with metallic subjects, and to leave some really bright white spots. Actually, one thing I've really enjoyed with watercolor is creating metallic surfaces. That's why for the key I'm very relaxed about, oh yeah, I don't need a reference, I'm just gonna go slap some paint in there. But when it comes to like the glass bottle, the gem, I haven't been painting stuff like gems and glass so much. So that's helpful to just do a quick refresher and make sure that it's convincing. You know, I don't want everything to seem like it's cartoony, even though I'm not avoiding a cartoony style, but it's kind of like realism, a little weird. I should have gone a little bit more intense with the red down here, right along this end.
How does it feel sad?
Probably gone a little bit more gently into this skinny area too. That's alright. Yeah, I definitely needed a little more depth for that key shadow. Well, since I'm not going to be glazing it with a bunch more of the Quinn gold, I think we're just going to find a deeper shadow color that I want to go in here with. So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing a little bit of sepia and a bit of quinacridone orange. I could also neutralize the orange with the blue, but recently I was playing with these colors on another project, and I kind of liked getting to a nice deep shadow this way. Just go in a little bit deeper. And I'm also touching on any areas of that red that didn't quite get toned down when I did the blaze with the quinacridone gold. I don't want to completely cover them, but I also don't want those areas to be looking truly red. I want them to seem like natural shadows. Let's push that depth a little bit more, push those values a little more. Over here we have barely any light area because we're getting a cast shadow from here. Alright, and we're about done for today's stream. I'm going to finish this quick pass for shadows. I think maybe I'll pop in a little bit more depth for the gem, and that'll be it for today. I bounce around and I didn't figure out what I wanted to do for this key. It's just funny because now that it's here, it's like, oh yeah, that's obvious. It should always be there. Why was that hard? And the best thing I can say is, I'm not trying to beat myself up about that. The point of this is to be fun. Sometimes the ideas take a little bit, and all you can do is try to work on what you can while you can.
This is what happens to people who mess.
That mix went a little bit drier than I wanted at the end. So another quick pass. Just a little bit deeper. Going back to streaming software, make sure that I'm showing up there. And this needs to come down a little bit. This will have some cast shadow on it because of the potion bottle and the light coming through. But because of its proximity to that bottle, we're going to go bluish, which it might have made more sense for me to go with the neutralizing with the Indant Throne earlier, but that's great. I'm going to keep the shadow consistent though. Knock that down. With a little bit of Payne's Gray. And I'm going to wait for that to dry before I take this highlight down, because this needs to be brought down just a touch too. I wanted to cool this down a little bit because of that proximity. And that would extend out to this little section too. A little bit less so. We're not going to overtake the key with a whole different color. And I'm going to, when that dry, glaze over this a touch, just to bring down that highlight. Very gently too, because the Payne's Gray going over the top might go a little more gray or green than expected. That's okay. We'll figure it out. So now for that gem, grabbing a little bit of the Pyrrole Crimson. And just go into that. 2 little specks real quick. Just a touch of shadow. We're just implying geometric shapes here. I'm not going to map out facets. I'm just going to hint that there are facets.
And also that's because that everybody don't like what the.
Right, so next we'll add more of the quinacridone red, and then at the very end a couple tiniest little touches of bleed-proof white, which will go ahead and increase that value contrast and give that a nice pop. But that's not going to happen today because that's going to be too wet to get into, and I'm just going to add a touch more yellow down here. I'm going to see if I can pull a little bit more of that graphite off of here. I think that's dry enough. No, I've been so bad about being in the middle of work and like trying to erase a bit, but I've been also lucky enough that this stuff hasn't smudged. So I'll keep doing it, probably. I shouldn't. It's alright. Go a touch more yellow there. I'm going to do a light glaze along there too. Just a touch more of the Quin Gold. And a little more harmony to this side. I feel like that's pretty good, but I need to work on that little spot. Just grabbing a touch more of the sepia and Quinburn orange mix. What I like about quinacridone burnt orange, it's one of the 2 colors that's in the mixture for quinacridone gold. So the 2 of them work really well together. And I went a little too wet there. And we'll just pick that up. And we'll darken this little edge a little more. That got a little bit out of control in shape. And there's my timer that I still haven't shut off. Alright. Alright, we are done for the day. We'll do a quick close-up of the key. You can see a little more detail. Where we go ahead and fade out. that's as bright as the light claims it's going to get right now. I boosted my ISO a little bit. Hopefully it's not totally burnt, blowing out the rest of the highlights. But that way you can pick up some detail. We'll knock down this little bit of highlight. Other than that, that should be good. And crisp up that gem a little bit later. So those will probably happen off camera in between today and tomorrow. Let's see, tomorrow. I believe we're on day 9 already. Looking to see on my map, which is number 9. Ah, flower. My original thought was to combine Alice with the flower, like that she's got one, but I forgot about that when I put her in the potion model. So we're going to see where this flower is going sometime tomorrow. Well, it's been another fun day, and hopefully you enjoyed. I can't wait to get back at it tomorrow and we can see a little bit more of Wonderland taking shape. So, have a great night and keep painting.